Okay.
Yes.
Hello, everyone. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all the parts in the world. We are here today to present a webinar for the Global Interdisciplinary Summit. Today we have a special guest from Venezuela, Dr. Ana Luisa Bernotti, that many of you know. I am Raquel Zita Gomes. I'm an oral Portugal. I will be the host of the session. And I have a very good news to present to all the viewers of this summit, that initially we had the goal to reach 1 million doctors worldwide. And today we reach 1.5 million. So I think everyone is very happy with this news, and we are all very fulfilled that everyone is helping to reach all the people in the world that can't have access to presential education. So we are really, really honored that everyone is helping to spread this movement of is between dentistry and between more than 70 countries. So thank you all that contributed to these numbers. And you can see all the complimentary webinars at Global Summit page. You have all the webinars since the beginning of the event that started 15 of April. And now I present our lovely from Venezuela. That is a diva in dentistry, a pink diva from a periodontist. She's a DDS and also a periodontologist. She developed a technique called VY Bernotti flap that was published last year. Received her DDS degree, periodontals degrees from the University Central of Venezuela, and earned her implantologist designation from the Centro de Especialidades y Estudios. I'm reading in Spanish because I'm Portuguese.
From Mexico.
So Dr. Bernotti is a member of the Odontology Society of Venezuela and the Ibero-American Federation of Periodontology. She's also a supporter and active member at Follow the Pink. That is a group dedicated to periodontists that is run by Dr. Delia Tuttle from the United States. Hello, Delia. How are you?
Hello, Delia.
The Divas in Dentistry. That is also a movement that Dr. Delia Tuttle created in 2014, putting women together. And we are both international leaders, and we are very happy with that. So with no further delay, I will put Dr. Ana Luisa Bernotti on stage on this case, and at the end, I'll be doing the hosting of the question and answer. So if you have any question and answer about the technique or about something to Dr. Ana Luisa, you can put it in the comments. At the end, we will choose the best one. So good luck, Ana Luisa. I hope the situation in Venezuela, I know it's not good, but you are doing a lot of effort to be here with us, you and also Alberto Micelli that was with us yesterday. So thank you so much for your effort and your resilience to be in a country that is in war with politics and all the stuff, and with this all COVID situation even worse. So thank you, namaste to you and to Alberto. And please take the floor. At the end, I will come back.
Oh, thank you so much, Raquel. For me, it's a pleasure to be here sharing our knowledge. And yes, it is difficult for us, but it's not impossible. And when you have this passion to share knowledge in the profession of dentistry that is so unique, it's a pleasure, it's an honor to share with you. All of you, all over the world. So we are going to start our presentation. As Raquel said, I'm a periodontist and implantologist from University of Selles of Mexico, and I'm an active professional in the periodontic field. So today, we are going to talk about implants biological seal. And to talk about this, we want to talk it under the umbrella concept, and we have to start knowing from the natural dentition, the dental gingival junction, that transition zone or the dual zone between the crown edge to the implant platform. So we can see as Stefan Shu, David Garber, Maurice Salama, Henry Salama, Dennis Tarnow had a particular focus in this zone to achieve health and aesthetics. So let's talk a little bit about dental gingival complex. That is from the free gingival margin to the mucogingival line, and it will consist from a connective tissue attachment with an epithelium attachment that Garguglio in 1961 described as biological width. Today, the periodontal academic and the Federation, Europe Federation in 2018 described this biological width as supracrestal incission fibers. So then we have also the gingival sulcus to accomplish the dental gingival complex. So let's talk about biological width. Garguglio found out that the vertical dimension of the dental gingival junction compromise comprised of sulcal depth, junctional epithelium, and connective tissue attachment. Is a physiologically formed and stable dimension, and I want to highlight this, subsequently called biological width, and that this unit forms at the level depends on the location of the crest of the alveolar bone. It's very important because when we go to the implant sites, it depends where is our crestal bone to maintain this physiological form and stable dimension. So Makigusa described it very generally as 1 millimeter of connective tissue, 1 millimeter of epithelium attachment, and 1 millimeter of sulco at natural dentition. And this dentogingival complex also is going to be formed about a dentogingival junction. That it's one of the sites that we want to highlight for the biological seal. And so we are going to have a junctional epithelium that is a very important, unique epithelium, the sulcular epithelium, the oral epithelium, and epithelial rhizome malassez. This junctional epithelium is a unique epithelium that has 2 or 3 layers of cells that will attach to the tooth. It will manage to give a barrier. Has a rapid turnover, is an antimicrobial defense, and it will flow. It is very permeable because it has the gingival cavicular floor. So the junctional epithelium consists of active population of cells and antimicrobial function, which together form the first line of defense against microbial invasion into tissue. It has a rapid turnover. The DAT cells that are direct attachment cells to the surface of the tooth, the enamel, it's important factor in the microbial defense of the junctional epithelium. It represents the key mechanism in host parasitic interaction and is the border between the oral cavity and the subepithelial connective tissue. I only want to highlight that has narrow intercellular spaces. So the permeability of the microorganism is very low in comparing to the junctional epithelium. And this is very important because it means that the main process of defense is at the junctional epithelium. Under this, we have the gingival fibers. The connective tissue of the marginal gingiva is densely collagenous containers and prominent system of collagen fibers bundle, called the gingival fibers. are mainly collagen type 1. And this means that this collagen type 1 has fibers that are not so elastic like others, and we have to take in account this at the time we are placing implants. So they are arranged in several groups: the dento, gingival, the circular, the transeptular, the semicircular, the transgingival. And when we talk at implant size, we want to highlight the circular and semicircular gingival fibers that the Stigman and Mohin described at 2014. And we can see in the middle of the screen that we have the junctional epithelium and the connective tissue fiber bundles under it to protect the underlying bone. So as we see here, in a study in humans, the abutment has been removed and the pictures show the epithelium and connective tissue fibers facing the abutment. So we have the junctional epithelium, the connective tissue fibers, and the vascular. Oh, very important, because we need to manage to know how these connective tissues fibers are going to seal around emergence profile of the implant abutment. So Xavier Rodriguez Ciruana and at all describe so they are more, and then go circle trying to seal all this area. Other things that we have to take in mind is the blood supply. This is a natural tooth, but what we need to compare it, and so see that we have supraperiostal arterioles, vessels of periodontal ligament, and arterioles around the tooth. In implants, we don't have the periodontal ligament, so we are missing this blood supply from the most nearest part of the implant. So we need to consider that for the biological seal, how is going to be our sulcus, the epithelial junction, and the connective tissue. And we can say that it's around more or less 2 millimeters of each. So when we are taking care of this dimension that is physiological, structured, and stable, when we put our implant, we need to consider the space for this kind of tissue. So we can see here that in a normal case, we need to determine the gingival architecture and the gingival zenith. And when we establish the highest point of this curvature, we can see that the vertical dimension to the implant platform is the zone that will take care of the supracrestal insertions. If we put the implant in a wrong position, or if we don't take care of the implant position, we are going to affect this area. For example, in this screen, we can see a 3 millimeters cuff, a 5 millimeters cuff, and a 1 millimeter cuff. And when we put a 3 millimeter cuff, we are working in the limits of what is needed to have this vertical space, and we need to have it in an ideal position, the implant placement. When we put it too deeper, we have a 5 millimeter cuff, for example, we are going to affect the aesthetics. So patient will have aesthetic concerns, and maybe the crown, it has a rectangular tooth that is not matching with the other. So Here we are going, maybe we can achieve the space for the biological width, but we are making some mistake in the aesthetic zone. When we don't leave this enough space vertically from the platform, implant platforms to the crown edge, we are going to disrespect this biological width. So the tooth also will be, we have aesthetic concerns and will be more square, but the more important is that we are harming the soft tissue, and this will biology will take place, and we will have some mucositis and then periodontitis. So Dr. Miselli, with the umbrella cones, he managed to put all together different concepts, and one of the concepts in the vertical area of the biological width was to have at least 3 millimeters of mucosa and to submerge 1 millimeter or less the implant platform, so we can achieve at least 4 millimeters from the zenith area to the platform, so we can achieve a healthy conditions of this tissue around the tooth. And this is why Lazara, important 2006, they described the platform switching. And they noticed that when the implant was covered with a screw cover and the tissue levels were over it, and they noticed that when they connect the abutment to the implant, the biological width was starting to establish, and you see it radiographically how the soft tissue, all this connective tissue fibers were taking place, and there was a bone remodeling that for a long time was considered as normal. And you can see that you have this bone remodelation, and the fibers were going to take place there to be established. That's why other papers, like we see here, the Iorio Siciliano and collaborators in 2016, were concluded that within the limits of this study, tapered platform switched laser microstructure implant maintained marginal bone level less than 1 millimeter radiographic bone loss, as well as limited mucosa recession over a 2-year period. More than changing the surface of this abutment, what I can see here is that we maintain the space, the vertical space between the crown edge and the platform, the implant platform. And this is very important. Also, the macrostructure, the microstructure of the fixture are going to help with the maintaining of this tissue. You can see that the distance to leave this enough space for this biological width is going to take place in a good way, and it's not right now, we not consider normal to lose 1.52 millimeters of bone around the implants. So the biological width, right now, we are taking place of this. So the connective tissue with these circumferential fibers that will allow us to stretch all the tissue against this surface, and the junction epithelium that will be there to be the first barrier and defense from the oral epithelium, has to be taken in place to have this kind of tissue as this emergent profile that Dr. Miseli gained in this case. But we need to consider also that the mucosa signa is mandatory to maintain this to avoid marginal bone loss. We can see that the gingival phenotype, when it's thin, we are going to have mid-facial recession, discoloration, translucent at the implant sites. And when we have a thick phenotype, or biotype, like was described before, but that the academic periodontologist since 2018 was described as a phenotype. We have to change this concept. We can have, we can achieve a biological seal, we can protect the subjacent bone, and we could have a good aesthetic result. Tarnow also says to us that to achieve this aesthetic field, we need the presence of interdental papilla. So he tells us that to achieve 100% presence of papilla, the contact point, no matter it's a prosthetic fixture or a crown or a natural tooth, it has to be at least less than 5 millimeters from the crestal bone to the contact point. That's why a lot of prosthodontics, they manage to do a contact zone so they can move the contact more to the cervical area. Other things that is achieved when we make the implant placement is the dimension, the position of the implant, buccal palatal. If we have it too buccal, then we will put some pressure on the soft tissue at the buccal side. Centered is ideal to have to have a good thickness of this phenotype, mucosa phenotypes. And when it's palatal, uh, if we will by the umbrella concept, it will be preferable because we can manage to do screw retained crowns at the implant side. But sometimes trying to compensate the thinner phenotype, the prosthodontist makes some convex emergence profile of the abutment, and this would lead to a thinner mucosa around the implant. So this is, this is not so good to have a thinner phenotype, but they achieve with materials like the zirconia abutment to retain less plaque, and that's why they have lesser bleeding on probing. This is a study from the GD from 2006, and Mariano Sanz make an excellent review and meta-analysis talking about this topic. But for real, we don't need to do this concave emergence profile of the abutment. And that's why Weinlander in 2011 comparing concave to convex abutment showed that the thickness was greater in the concave groups. And why is that? This is from Mariano Santos to 2017, and we can see that with a concave abutment profile, we can have more space for tissue, and that space for tissue it will be accomplished with soft tissue and hard tissue as well. That's why with the umbrella concept, putting the implant in a submerged profile and putting it more palatal and giving a convex concave profile for the prosthesis, we are maintaining or establishing a good thickness of the mucosal phenotype. So I want to highlight another things that not only to myofibroblasts, and they were going to be responsible for this good attachment to the abutment profile. This property However, did not translate to differential histological outcomes in experimental study comparing abutment made of zirconia, titanium, and gold alloy. The cells are the same, but we having different results. This study reported similar soft tissue dimension when titanium and zirconia abutment were compared. So we with the zirconia, we are going to have better attachment and better plaque, less plaque accumulation, but we are going to have the same dimensions between titanium and zirconia. However, uh, with the gold alloy abutments, there was an apical shift of the barrier epithelium followed by marginal bone loss. And why do I highlight the gold alloy? Because when we didn't put when the implant was placed too vestibular, some of the prosthodontics take this gold alloy abutment. So the gingiva, because it was a thinner gingiva, because the pressure, the compression of the mucosa around the implant, we didn't want this translucent appearance, and we need to put a color that it was different from the gray color of the titanium abutment, and the gold alloy would function as mocha, like trying to avoid this discoloration and this kind of a gray shadow. So when we are talking about concave submerged profile, the umbrella concept, we are matching a lot of concepts like the critical control from Ernesto Lee, the plaque zone control from Nikos Mateos, the conditional zone from Milko Villarreal, and we are having a concave submerged profile. As I said before, we are given space for the soft tissue. And as Makigusa described in this, I love this paper because it was so simple and we can take advantage of it, that when the spacing, he says, the illustration, the spacing increases the presence of cortical bone and the subsequent reduction in the available blood supply following development of the biological with around standard two-stage implant. If we can see this draw, the biological width was taking place, but the implant was placed as at the implant level. So when we didn't give no space vertically for the biological width, then these fibers will compress the bone, and we give enough space for it. That's why in the other in this other draw, you can see the implant design with built-in platform switching, which is designed to aid in crestal bone preservation. And here the situation is different because you can see that the biological width, that these collagenum fibers are set up to this bevel of the implant platform. So umbrella concept is leading us to do a submergence profile. And now we can realize why it is. It's not only because of the position, it's because the blood supply, because the biological width, because a thicker phenotype that is going to all together match and play an important role to the biology and aesthetic concerns. So here, not only the aesthetic part, also the posterior molars, we can achieve this lovely emergent profile and healthy way to implant restoration. So we have, now to describe it in a draw, we have the cervical area, 1 to 2 millimeters of transitional area, and supported area that I think is less than 2 millimeters for the connective tissue fiber. It is the conjunction of concepts that exist in the world literature about the management of soft and hard tissue, seen in the three-dimensional way that allow the preservation of marginal crestal bone, the gingival architecture, and the aesthetic around the pre-implant supracrestal complex, and the stability through time. This is what umbrella concept is all about. And it's a conjunction of these concepts to achieve this biological seal. So it suggests that once the implant is exposed to the oral environment and in function, a mucosal attachment of a certain minimal dimension is required to protect osteointegration, to enable a proper epithelial connective tissue attachment. And if this soft tissue dimension is not satisfied, bone resorption will occur to ensure the establishment of attachment with an appropriate biological width. Supracrestal connective tissue attachment fibers. So this presentation is to analyze and to suggest protocol of implant placement, soft tissue management, and protective profile to ensure implant mucosal biological seal to protect subjacent bone of the crown implant restoration complex. So when it comes the patient, we need to see the smile, the line 9. We need to see this transitional zone, and this happens when a patient comes and has a hopeless tooth. We need to do first a digital smile design. You can do it analog or you can do it digital, but you have to do it. And they had a lot of facilities. You can see the digital smile design by Kochman, and you can have an app also in your phone. But the important thing of this is that the implant, before it has to be placed, it has to be prosthetic-driven, guided surgery. We need to see which are the shapes of the tooth and how they match with the smile line to see the architecture of this gingiva, and to determine where is going to be the gingival zenith matching with the contralateral tooth to achieve aesthetic. So we take out the tooth, we have a fresh socket, and it's not only about to place the implant that it fits inside the fresh socket. It's because we are going to make a lot of mistakes. This is a case that came to our clinic, and one of our colleagues says, I put the implant, but I'm having trouble with the soft tissue. And when we were analyzing this implant, we say, okay, it has a short implant. It doesn't matter because it will also integrate. But we want to see how is the mucosa around this implant. And if you see it this way, it's not too bad. But when we put the crown, because the patient comes to have a crown to fulfill his aesthetic concerns. And we can see that they have a holly, and they put this little crown on it. And you can see the transitional zone that we are talking to all this morning about this. You can see there they put the implant with the healing screw, and this healing screw entered in the danger zone because the implant shoulder was too facially and occurs a mucosal recession. You can see this article, this chapter from Stefan Shen and Daniel Busser, that you can see where are the comfort zones and the dangerous zones. And for the buccal lingual patella, we need to have at least 2 millimeters from the platform to the buccal side. If we put the implant too vestibular, enters in the tangent zone when the shoulder is placed too fascially. This increases the risk of mucosal recession. And if we put a wide healing screw, a cover healing, it's wider than the implant, we for sure we're going to have this mucosal recession. And so you can see from the comfort zone that had to be the implant placement, we can see the danger zone that is too fascially. And this doctor was trying to preserve this implant in position and to have good aesthetic result, and he made some connective tissue graft to improve the tissue at the buccal side. But because the position of the implant was not in the right place, we have these concerns. The concept of comfort and danger zone of the position of the implant in relation to the adjacent natural teeth in a measured distal dimension, the implant should be positioned within the comfort zone. The danger zone is 1 millimeter, 1.5 millimeters wide. If we go too close to the tooth, we are going to be in the danger position. As you can see here, we cannot see it in the clinical view, but if we see it in the radiographic, you can see that the implant body is too close to the root surface, and see that is a little bit vestibular, and you can see some dehiscence in the buccal side. So when we go to the deepness, how deep is going to be the implant? In this article, they suggest that the implant apical coronally, the implant shoulder should be positioned about 3 millimeters apical to the gingival margin of the contralateral tooth in patients without gingival recession. Right now, we are trying to do first our digital smile design. So if we have to correct this position to see where is the gingival zenith, and then from that point with a mock-up, a previous mock-up, digital or analog, we can establish where is the submerged profile of this implant implant platform. So we can see here sense. And of course, if we lose bone, the mucosa will accompany the bone, and we will have some recession at the buccal side. So then when we put our abutment, this is going to be the situation. Where is going to be the biological width? Where is the biological seal? Remember that we have connective tissue, epithelium, and a sulcus, that we need to establish all this.
Hello, I think we have some technical problems. Let's hope Dr. Luisa Bernotti can link again. As probably everyone knows, in Venezuela, they have some issues with electricity and also with internet connection. So we are going to wait a little bit so Dr. Anna can try to reach us again. I'm going to send her a message to see if she can connect again. Let me see.
Okay. Sorry,
Luisa again. Okay, so I think we have the conditions to have Dr. Ana Luisa again. Please, darling, go to the share screen on your left top. On the left corner, we have some problems with the audio, probably some feedback. I'm not hearing you because probably you're muted. Let's hope that Anshul can help us here. Yes, you have your presentation now.
We have some echo on Dr. Anna's side. Please see if all your other devices are off. If the phone is disconnected, please see. We have an echo
Try
at
to
your end.
disconnect your phone. It's giving some feedback. I already disconnected. And now, try to share your presentation now. Click on play. Yes. There. Perfect. Now?
We still have an echo.
Deve ser uma interferência com
Perhaps you have some other window opened with the with this presentation. Close all other windows and just open this one window.
Ada, are you hearing me?
It's very bad.
Anna, you need to close all your devices and all your windows in the computer besides your presentation. Close all the other windows. We're getting interference. Or with your phone, probably disconnect your phone.
I'm trying to. The other.
Anna, you need to disconnect all your devices, electronic devices. The phone, all the other windows are in the computer, you need to disconnect, only the presentation. Não sei, foi abaixo.
Ready? I'm here again.
Yes. Are you hearing me now?
Yes, perfect.
I think now we are okay.
Okay.
Probably some interference with your phone or some electronic device. But now I'm hearing you perfectly. So please go to the left corner and share your presentation again.
Okay, I share again. Here.
I'm seeing you already, so your camera is on.
Okay, I'm going to open my presentation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. And you can start in the point that you finished. That is that
Yes.
slide. You can put play, and we can go through.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, perfect.
Perfect.
Now it's perfect.
Okay.
You can continue.
Yes, sorry for that. Okay, so we can see the X-rays, and we can see here that we have the implant placement, but we want to continue with the treatment of this implant that is not in the right position. So we put our abutment, implant abutment, and then we are trying to figure how we are going to do our crown. So maybe we thought that it's good how the osseointegration went with the implant, but we're going to have problems with the aesthetic and the mucosal peri-implant mucosa. So historically, the resulting of 1 year post-restorative repositional crestal bone level, approximately 1.5 millimeters apical to the implant abutment junction or at the first thread, has been used as one of the criteria of success of a dental implant. And that's why they considered this at that time in 1989, because we were not considered in the biology. And we need to let the biology take a seat, establish at his right dimension in a vertical way. So we try to figure out how we can continue this treatment, and you can see it's going to be longer, this crown, and we are going to make a lesser space for the biological field. And we know that we need for the biological width 4 millimeters at least to achieve this space. And that's not all. We are going to have a mucositis, or we can lead to periodontitis, And also we are going to have aesthetic concerns for the patient because this crown is going to be longer than the opposite contralateral tooth. Another thing that we have to take in consideration is the longitudinal implant axis. And when we can see here that if we put an abutment, we will need to have a degree of angulation of deep abutment like 30 degrees. And for sure, we're not gonna have a good results. So we are trying to do digital planning, not with the digital smile design. We put it in the keynote and put the like how it's going to be the tools and how can we preserve the buccal volume and where it should be the mucosal zenith for the future restoration. And we decided we have to take out this implant. So we can do it easily with a wrench or a ratchet that is used for to tighten the fixture after the placement. When we go one side, it's going in, and to the other, we can take out the implant and start over new. And this is one of the treatments that is suggested when we see that we don't have all the conditions to restore this implant. So it's better to take it out and start over new. We have to make after thorough socket debridation, a verification of the intact buccal plate because we had too much pressure to the buccal side, and we have to select diameter of the implant that is according to the space, mesial distance, and buccal palatal that we have to have the space for also the mucosa and the hard tissue, leaving a buccal residual gap distance of about 2 millimeters from the buccal. We can also use additives like the Blue M, that it's amazing that we use it for everything in the implant size because it's an active oxygenant and speed up the healing of the process with bleeding gums, reduce pockets around teeth and implant, speed up the healing of wound in general, normalize and control harmful bacteria. So we are trying to take all the things that we have in our hands to make this function in a good way to fulfill the needs of the patient. Also, what we are using today is the cervical BPI. This is a ruler, is like a probe, and it has the numbers very clear, so we can measure zero 25 newtons of force to avoid iatrogenic forces, and but it's a very very good tool to see the healthy parameters around implant. Lang and Tonetti describe it very well. Bleeding on problem is a clinical parameter that is defined as the presence of bleeding noticed after the penetration of periodontal probe into peri-implant sulcus or pocket using gentle force. From a clinical point of view, absence of bleeding around implant would indicate healthy peri-implant tissues. So we can see that now we are placing our implant in the right position, preserving our biological space in all dimensions. And the implant companies will give you tools like the parallel pins that after the first drill, we can put it so we can see how is the longitude axis of the future implant, putting in the right position and putting the marking drill first, then 1.5 4 millimeters to do a sequence of the drilling, verifying the future implant with the parallel beam, making our radiographs, and then seeing clinically so we can see that we are going to be able to make a screw retaining crown, and we are going to preserve the softened hard tissue at the buccal side. In this case, we managed to have a 3.5 diameter implant and with a 11.5 length. And be sure that the implant you select has all the qualities of clean implants. So when we achieve the implant is perfectly secure, that we can not gonna make some harm to the tissue. This implant specific has a implant mount that you can take it manually and place it at the socket and put it in the right position after we manage to drill the bone. So again, we use the blue M at the side because we are going to put a cover screw, as you see, because we saw in the other clinical side that we didn't have enough mucosal tissue, and we have a deficit in a defect, a bony defect. So this transitional zone, dual zone, critical and subcritical zone for the implant side has to be considered. And in this case, we use a microperiosteum extender. So we are trying to extend all this periosteum and make up a tunneling pocket at the buccal side, and with a xenograph, kind of a bone graft you use, because we are not opening the bone
Hello again. We have some technical problems. As we know, Anna is in a difficult situation in a country that has some problem with the electricity and internet connection, Venezuela. She's doing her best, even doing the webinar in the office, to try to avoid these situations, but this can happen. So let's try to contact her again and see if she can connect to finish the webinar. I think she's almost at the end, but let's hope she can connect again. She has to go again to the link and enter the meeting room. I hope everyone is enjoying. Sorry for these technical issues, but as you know, I'm in Portugal. The organization of GIS is in the United States. Dr. Anna is in Venezuela. So it's not so easy to do this triad between three countries that are almost in three parts of the points of the world. We are trying to do our best, but unfortunately, Dr. Ana Luisa has some issues in the connection. So let's try to figure out if she can link again to finish the webinar and do the question and answers that I have already here some questions from the public. If you are interested, please post your questions in the comments, and I will transmit these questions to Ana Luisa. I think you should really take advantage of her being here presently. She's an amazing clinician, an amazing researcher. So if you are interested of knowing a little bit more of her techniques, of even her patent technique, the VY Bernotti flap, please post your questions. We are trying to connect with her to see if she can come again. Let me just check here in the WhatsApp if she realized what happened.
Okay, I'm going to connect. Let me know.
I think you are in.
Okay, in.
You are in again. Sorry.
Yes.
Dr. Ana Luisa was speaking and speaking. She didn't realize that the connection went down, but now we are going to try to reestablish the connection. So please, Anna, go to sharing screen on the bottom of the camera.
Mm-hmm.
And start where we lose you, probably like 2 slides before. I think the last slide I saw, it was with PRF or something. I'm not sure, but go 2 slides.
Yes, here.
Yeah, this one, yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Please start.
Oh,
thank you.
okay.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay. So we were talking about the APRF by Dr. Chakron, and we are taking all the growth factors, blood supplies, and the 15 to achieve this biological seal. Of course, we have to talk about umbrella concept because we are giving that space to this soft and hard tissue to accomplish this biological width. And we need to have a prosthetical stable, stabilize our prosthesis with this contact zone. So I'm doing my best. I'm not a prosthodontist, but I feel that with the provisional we can do a lot. So we can manage to make a screw retainer crown. This is explantation and immediate implant placement with provisional crown, screw retainer crown. We have some microplastic instruments like we have from the Devamet instrument, and we managed to put inside the pocket the APRF plug in a gentle way, not to disturb what we just made. Making the provisional, this is how it looks at the same day of surgery with the explantation, implantation, and restorative procedures. So from the initial site that we were having troubles with the vertical dimension from the implant platform to the crown edge at the zenith point, we can see after what we achieve, knowing which are the parameters that we have to take care of. Here, radiographically, we can see where is the implant and the provisional crown, and you can see 1 week after how it looks amazing. How can we achieve the aesthetic concerns for the patient? See that the bone graft, it was more than what it needs, but we are trying to that the biologic works and will fulfill the correct buccal volume to the side. So for me, Zenith is mandatory, and from Dr. Miseli also, because the Zenith will determine where, in which kind of tissue, and where the tissue has to be established or reestablished to fulfill the biological and aesthetic needs. Here you can see this is it's not too bad for a periodontics, but it will help the prosthodontist. See uh, at the buccal side a tissue that is slightly white, that is that connective tissue that the doctor put, but see that it was not enough to accomplish the buccal volume. We have a screw retainer here. Now with the Holly, you see the difference between the initial and how it is. And the patient, we always tell her not to brush the 15 days after the surgery, but you can see there's no contact there. It's good enough, and she's very happy with the result. Now we are only waiting for the final restorations, but before we are going to suggest a digital smile design to correct the discoloration, the change of the color, the and the shape of the other natural dentition. So for us, it's a big pleasure. This is teamwork, and we need to know that we cannot accomplish all these things if we're not together. Raquel. Oh my God. Did
Hello.
we lost? Did you
Yeah,
get?
we managed.
We managed. It's because I was not seeing myself at the screen, and it was
That's why
hard
I
to
ring
see
you.
everywhere.
We understand that it's very hard for you, being in a situation that you are not controlling the internet, the lights, everything, and you did a huge effort to do this presentation for us. Thank you so much. Sorry for the public for these technical problems, but you can understand that the passion of Dr. Ana Luisa was more strong than any technical issue. So she finished, and she finished so well. The presentation was magnificent, and thank you so much for your effort. And we have here some questions from the public.
Okay.
By the way, we have here great compliments to your presentation, saying that you have great illustrations, that the lecture was very good, that it was a great lecture. So you can then read the comment on Facebook. And we have here
Thank
some
you so
questions.
much. Okay.
So the first question is from Dr. Cristina Torres from Portugal. We make a bone regeneration and we lose the membrane that was covering the surgery. If you do a post-extractional situation, what should we do? Is that a question? Did you understand the question?
Oh, barely, because I didn't mention any membrane on my
Yeah, but she's
presentation.
doing a
Maybe she
general
wants to.
question.
Yes, it depends on which kind of membrane she had. Because if it's just a resorbable membrane, you only have to take care with PerioGuard or Blue M. It's marvelous to put it so they disinfect the area and be sure that the patient won't touch the area and leave it there until it heals better. Or if you have a not resorbable membrane, you should take it out because it will get complicated, the site. So it depends how difficult is
I
it.
think the case she's asking is a traditional GBR with a resorbable membrane. She extracted the tooth, she put it the implant and the graft, and she put it a collagen membrane on top. But she couldn't manage to close the borders. So she tried to fix it, but part of the membrane, that is a cross membrane, collagen membrane, cross-linked, it was exposed, and now it's a little bit more exposed. So the question of her is, what is your opinion regarding this situation?
I put APRF membranes. I put or liquid PRF or APRF.
And eventually the Blue M gel to heal.
Yes, and then after it heals a little bit, I put Blue M, and I love it because it helps a lot with the healing part.
Also is a great tool because it will help the natural healing. Because here we are talking about post-extractional. Of course, you don't have the perfect primary seal. So you need time so you can have granulation tissue to have the secondary intention healing. So I think PRF can be a good answer, and also disinfection without
and
very brusque.
You know, Raquel, I will say also that the things about the disinfection is very important, because when we put the healing abutment or the healing screw, cover screw, or we are going to put the provisional, we as the doctors, when we are placing it, we're not taking carefully what we are putting inside a fresh socket, you know, because if we put a provisional that we made in the laboratory in our clinic that is not disinfected, we should put some disinfection, chlorhexidine, or Blue M, or how do you say, steam. But normally we have to, you know, you have to be honest with you. You have to be honest. You do that because that will infect your site when you are in a surgery.
Exactly. Agree. So you need to have some careful when you put the provisionals and or when we are closing the socket. Another question for Dr. G2 Jerry. Can you explain the bone loss can occur palatally if you do the umbrella concept?
Palatally, no. I haven't had the case, but it's because we have a thick phenotype. And when we have established all the mucosa at the palatal side, that will protect the subjacent bone. We will have the enough blood supply. We will have the tissue thickness, and we will have the junction epithelium, the biological seal. So in palatal is more difficult.
It's very difficult.
I'm not saying that it cannot occur. Maybe if you go with your implant through all the palatal, you will have a severe complications. But in generally, this does not occur. When we are talking with umbrella concept, is slightly palatally. So we can give enough space at the buccal side, at least 2 millimeters from the buccal bone plate. And this is very important because we only talk about buccal bone plate, but it's the soft tissue also. So I don't believe it's only 2 millimeters of distance that we have to achieve. It's because most of the doctors, they open a flap, and they are not taking care only about the bone, but the soft tissue is as important as the bone.
Exactly. No, I agree. And because, of course, the buccal bone is much more thin and much more predisposable to have resorption than the palatal bone. The same with the tissue. Normally, by palatal, we have very thick tissue, so we have a protection of the implant, even if you don't have the ideal bone, because we know by the studies of Dr. Alberto Miceli and other people that already published how important the sum between the bone thick and the tissue thickness. So the two together. So it shouldn't be only bone or only tissue. It should be the two together. Even
The
in
two together,
height,
of course.
we have this information that if you have a tissue or of 3 millimeters, eventually you can put the implant 1 millimeter infracrestal, even if the position of the implant should be just crestal, because ideally you should have this 4 millimeter of count of together between the bone and the tissue. Of course, if you have like 7 millimeters of gum, like
It's too
sometimes we
much.
have in the palate, it's not so important to submerge the implant. You can do just crestal or even a little
Yes,
bit
you can do it
up
crescent.
crestal. So it's the same
That's why
philosophy.
that's why, Raquel, we are taking in consideration the digital smile design. You can make a mock-up or you can do it digitally, because the zenith, the crown zenith, will lead the prosthetic
Orthodontics,
field. Yes, and it
reality.
will say, because I mentioned a paper that it was considering the zenith of the contralateral tooth. But when we don't have that, we need to establish or create the shape of
And
that
use that.
zenith, and according to the smile line. That is very important, because sometimes we only focus on the tooth, and it's a whole dimension that we have to focus. You need to
Of
see the
course.
smile and
And
how
sometimes we
the
have to
building
correct
of
even the
architecture is
gappy
going to
smile or
match. Yes.
exactly. So yes, and even I do a lot of palatal approach in the anterior zone when I have like very atrophic mandibles. And normally, even if I have very thin bone on the palatal, the bone is so hard that it's very difficult to have resorption at long term, because the thickness of the soft tissue in the palatal and the connective tissue and the epithelium is so thick that it's almost impossible to lose bone on the palatal side. Of course, it depends on the position of the implant, but you are much more protected in palatal than in vestibular. That's why sometimes we go for palatal approach even in very atrophic jaws. Now I have a last question, and this question is for me. I know that you are using all these new trends of PRF and cervical system and Blue M, and I will like you to explain me to systemize what will be the steps for you to do a provisional, immediate provisional in a single implant if you have the right conditions to put a provisional if the implant is stable. What will be
Okay.
your ideal steps to follow?
Okay. If I can share you one part of the presentation that is very easy to see, because right now, as a periodontics, we are using the cervical BPI, and this cervical BPI, I'm going to go up from the screen. You see it
I'm
has,
also using, yes,
can you see it?
yeah, yeah,
Okay,
we can.
we have this mold that will duplicate all the emergence profile, and this is a silicone mold that will achieve the distance between the platform, the implant platform, and the ideal emergence profile of this prosthetic. And it will be very easy, because you put the abutment inside, you match it with an analog that is under the silicon mold, and you put this composite, and you will create nicely emergent profile. It will be shiny, it will be with the correct shape,
Polished.
polish, and with this you will ensure that is going to heal very well this soft tissue in this area. And it's not only that, that with this kind of molds that you are given, there are stock molds, you can see where is going to be the edge of your crown and how much tissue you need to cover to achieve this aesthetic results. So it depends on what you're doing here, because I need to have a stabilized provisional. I need to do some contact zone very good, and I put some PRF plug, because I need to put everything that will let
thickness your
yes, to achieve all this tissue around the implant and the prosthetics. And you can see that it's perfect, because when we use the PRF, it's like a scaffold for all these epithelial cells on it, so they can achieve the correct position.
That's perfect. Thank you, Anna.
You're welcome.
So you're using PRF in a daily, right? Even to do the provisionals to thicken the profile.
Yes.
You use Blue M or some Alogel or some chlorhexidine gel to disinfect the provisional before you put it in the mouth, right?
Yes.
And you use the VP
with very
cervical to do a nice and very adapt provisional with the ideal shape that you want to create, right?
And that's more because when you use the cervical BPI, when you put it in the mouth, the soft tissue will adapt to that shape. And when you want to reproduce that, to take the impression with your transfer, you can also duplicate that in your mold, so that you ensure that the tissue will not collapse at the time you're taking the impression.
During the impression.
Because you have circumferential collagen fibers, and you have myofibroblasts that will go and close the wound. So if you have something that recreates the same position, you will not have this problem of getting disagreed with the. Yes,
I agree. I think the VPI cervical I also used some years. It's not only good for doing the provisionals in the format that you want, and they get very polished, but better than that, you can adapt traditional transfer and do a personalized transfer exactly equal to the provisional, because you can mark the mold that you used, and you can adapt and have a personalized transfer without doing that on the mouth of the patient. That has this advantage of outside the mouth and being very polished and very simple to use. So thank you, Anna.
Okay.
I think we don't have more questions. We have a lot of compliments to your presentation, and you can see it on Facebook. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope I can see you presentially soon. I think I'm going to lose you again. Oh, okay, you're there.
Oh, yes, I think so. But internet, so sorry for that, but
no problem.
I'm so glad.
It was a pleasure to host you, and a pleasure to see you on camera. I hope I can see you presentially soon. Keep up your great work. Keep up your work, also not only clinical, but also defending women to stay with visibility and non. We are here supporting you too. So thank you so much, and I hope to see you soon.
The same. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure and an honor, and I love to be with you and share this and talk about all the topics that we are so passionate about it. So let's be stronger together. That's all.
Yeah, exactly.
And we can see all of my colleagues at Divas in Dentistry Congress for the next year. That will be announced. Yeah, in Croatia. It will be announced sooner when we go out from this pandemic.
Yeah, please go to www.divasindentistry.com, and you can search for the second International Divas in Dentistry Conference, and you can join us in Croatia next year, I hope. Bye-bye to everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Good morning, good afternoon, good night for all over the world. Thank you for joining us.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.